YouTube, welcome back to another video. In today's video, as you could tell by the title and probably the reason why you clicked on this video, I'm going to be giving you 10 tips on how to write a novel. So stay tuned for this video, hit subscribe so you don't miss content like this. Let's get straight into the video. So tip number 1, you want to give your main idea. Now I broke this down into 2 points. So the first point is you want to kind of brainstorm what your idea is. For example, Gossip Girl meets World War II, you know? So you can think of, like, you want to get a laptop and a note or a notepad and just kind of write down, okay, you want the two things to be Gossip Girl and World War II. With that, you want to get a genre and the type of audience that you're trying to reach. Is it YA? Is it adult, romance? It's like, what is it exactly? Just so then you know for sure who you're targeting. Since you want it to be Gossip Girl, I would say it's more contemporary romance. But since you also want to make sure a little bit of World War II, I would say it's more of a historical contemporary romance. So a great example would be Outlander. It's a mixture of the past and the present. You also want to give the theme and the mood. So the mood is more like, is it funny, adventurous, that type of thing. Would you be crying during this time? A theme would be, is it dark, that type of thing. Now the second point I want to add is the characters. Now when it comes to the characters, you really want to create relatable characters. So for example, there are 2 that you really want to finish first, which is the protagonist, which is the main character, and the antagonist. And the antagonist is usually the villain. So I would really focus on those 2 characters first, and then you can do the supporting characters on the side, which is usually like a sister or a friend who's always there, like someone who's usually with the main character quite a bit, and you learn about their backstory as well. Now the second point I want to add is you want to create an outline. Now with me, I never did this. What I did was I usually just jotted down the main idea and then wrote into it. Very big mistake. You want to use something called the 3-act, 3-sequence outline. If you want to know more about that, I could put that in another video, but let me know in the comments. Giving you a rough idea of what you want throughout the story, beginning, middle, and end. And it's going to help you have a guideline of which way you want to go. The third step I have is now you're going to write the draft. You're going to write your first draft. You don't want to rush into it. Take your time with it. Really let it flow. Create a word count. For example, is it in your genre? Like mine, for example, is 105,000 words, and mine is a dark fantasy romance, so that's perfectly fit in that genre. So again, create that word count. Just writing alone, even if it's 500 words or even 2 words, it adds up, so at the end of the day, just make sure that you do that. For me, I wrote my first draft from June to September, so that's roughly like 5 months. And I think that was a perfect pace, especially with a big word count. So just take that in mind. The 4th step, I really encourage you, and I do think this is a mandatory step. It is to take a break. Trust me, I know you are very excited to write this book. Trust me, this was me. But at this point, you need to relax your brain, because you've been either staring at the screen for months now or even weeks, and you just need that time to step back and just really focus on yourself. So during that time, I would encourage you just to even start a new hobby of like watching a TV show that you wanted to watch, so it relaxes your brain. The reason why I'm encouraging this break is because when you go into reading the book again, which is the next step, but I'll get into that in a minute. When you go into the next step, it's gonna give you a fresher mind. It's gonna give you a clearer idea of what you're seeing. For example, you've been seeing this manuscript for months, So you're not going to be able to see. And when you go back, you'll see from a reader's point of view. This is what happened to me. And when I read my manuscript, I was like, whoa, okay, this is not how I wanted it. Step, and this is what I said. You want to read through your manuscript. So after you've taken that like 4-week break, minimum 4-week break, you want to be able to, I would recommend print out your manuscript. It helps so much better than looking back at your monitor. Looking at it like this would hurt your eyes a lot. And again, printing out your manuscript would help you give you that idea that you're actually reading your book. Like there's a physical copy, and you can actually print it out. There's Lulu, there's KDP, there's all those different types of things. And if you want an idea of how to do that as well, let me know down in the comments. Now, when you're reading your manuscript, it's gonna take some time because you're like, for me, it took me 2 months. So I did like a chapter every other week, and I really just thought of it, and I was like, does this actually relate with the character? Does this part fit in? Does this fit in? It's gonna take some time. And I know you guys want to rush into writing this, like getting it out there because it's a big idea. Trust me, just ease, go with the flow, okay? Now, once you finish with your reading it and editing it yourself, this is where I recommend that you go and get feedback. Now, I'm not talking about getting the editor because that's a little bit long, that's a little bit further. But I'm talking about getting a beta reader, which is someone who would read your book, tell you how the plot is, the theme, the structure, the whole big idea, you know? And it could be a friend, it could be someone that you don't even know who could just be reading your book and then answering a questionnaire, and it'll just help you so much because as much as you read the book, giving it to someone else is a new, fresh eyes that they would see. They would see things that you did not see. So again, I recommend that you give it to a friend, but it has to be a brutally honest friend. Someone who was like, hey, this point between these two characters, for example, the main character and the villain, it doesn't seem like an actual enemies type of thing. It doesn't flow properly. Just be aware of that. Like, that's what beta readers do. And I would recommend trying to find free beta readers and not paid. If you want to do paid, that's totally up to you, and it depends on how it fits in your budget, but that's what I recommend. 7th tip I would say is revise, edit, revise, edit. Now, what does this mean? After you get your feedback from the beta reader, you want to edit that feedback. Really think about it. And again, you don't have to choose, like, you don't have to use their recommendation and be like, oh, maybe I should do it. I recommend that when you get your beta reader or a friend, try and get more than 2 people. I would say try and get 5, because then it gives you a bigger idea. And if they all say that's in common, then that's when you should probably try and change it. But again, it's completely up to you how you take that feedback. If you think that their relationship is perfect, you can leave that. So again, when it comes to editing, make sure that you even run it through Pro Writing Aid, which helps with spelling and grammar and all that stuff. I recommend that. I used it, which it brings me to my 8th point, editors. So there's 2 different types. There's the developmental editor, who goes through the plot, the structure, the mood, the characters, etc. They go through that whole thing and they give you suggestions. I highly recommend that you take that. Editors, make sure you really go through that and make sure that you take in their feedback and you do all that jazz. I'll be leaving a blog down below for more information on the editors. So step 9, you want to do the final revise, meaning you want to be able to edit the feedback from the editor. And once you do that, you can send it to ARC readers. ARC readers are the ones that make sure your book is 100%. The 10th step, congratulations, you got to the final step of the novel, which is you finished it. So I'm so proud of you. and you're a rare jewel, go celebrate, put the book away for a second before you actually start publishing it or traditionally publishing that. And thank you again for watching this video. I'll see you guys next week.